Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris and welcome to another Top 10 LEGO minifigure video, the show where I actually count down the best minifigures from all the years of LEGO in one single video. So last time we took a look at the best minifigures from 2021, be it collectible minifigures or standard retail figures, and we also summed up the year of 2020 where we looked at the same thing, best collectible minifigs and best non-collectible minifigs. And of course, it's time for a new year to be covered. Today we're going to be counting down the top 10 best non-collectible minifigures from 2019. That is, minifigures that just appear in standard retail sets. But don't worry, we'll be doing the collectible minifigs in a different video. Now before we get started, I do want to state that again, this is just my opinion and I'd love to hear yours. So let me know in the comments below after you see the video, do you agree with the list? Do you disagree? Do you think I was missing anything? And if you own any of these, which are your personal favorite minifigures from 2019? And so without further ado, let's just jump right into number 10. Alright, so coming in at number 10, we have the variant of Master Wu from the Season 11 Ninjago Secrets of the Forbidden Spinjitzu wave. This is probably one of my favorite Master Wu variants that they've ever done, specifically because he has an awesome looking cape and a complete redesign for the character itself. Of course, this figure isn't necessarily the most detailed or the most special, but this figure just feels very special to me because it's easily one of the most detailed Master Wu figures outside of the Ninjago movie that they've ever done, and one that really defined the look and feel of the character for the TV show going forwards. Unfortunately, since this figure, the cape element has not returned, which I think is a big shame because it actually is a really cool looking piece. You see, the cape actually has two different styles of fabric going on each side. On the back side, it's a much more fuzzy material, and on the front, it's more of the standard LEGO cape material, making it feel very layered and very realistic, as well as having a bit of a shoulder pauldron area for Master Wu himself that just adds a little bit more gravitas to the character. And while the legs and torso are fairly simple and the white printing on the dark brown legs really does not look all too great, I really do actually like some of the other changes to the figure, such as actually printing some of the beard on Master Wu's face, giving him a much larger beard along the sides to really kind of show how the character has aged and matured, as well as adding the great ponytail detail on the back of his head. The figure also included the staff of Forbidden Spinjitzu, at least in the show, which does look really good alongside the figure. The tan fabric in particular is a great accessory for the figure to be using in the show itself, and overall I'm just very happy with this particular depiction of the Master Wu character. The only reason why it's so low on this list is because it simply is just not nearly as detailed as basically all the other figures, so we can now move on to number 9. And coming in at number 9, we have the LEGO Goofy minifigure, which only came in the Disney train station, which thankfully has been reappearing in some smaller sets, at least in different outfits, but for one, it's just really nice to finally get a full-on dedicated Goofy minifigure. A lot of people were really hoping that they were going to get Goofy figures in the Disney CMF Series 2. Unfortunately, that did not happen, but thankfully he was made, albeit in a much larger set. The head sculpt for this character looks absolutely fantastic, featuring both dual molded and color painting on the top of the hat there, which looks really good for the character itself, and there's even printing continuing onto the sides of the legs for the boots, which is fairly rare to get in a standard retail minifigure, especially for the year of 2019, when it really wasn't all too prevalent. Besides that, however, there really isn't anything too detailed or special about the character, especially because it is an animated character translated to LEGO bricks. The torso design is basically very simple, the legs as well are quite simple, and they really did the best they could with the source material. It's just arguably not the most interesting of set of prints for the character, and that's why it is lower on this list. But with that, we can now move on to number 8. And coming in at number 8, we have an entry from the LEGO Star Wars line. This is the brand new Scout Trooper featuring a new dual molded helmet, which honestly is the best Scout Trooper helmet they've basically ever done. And really the only reason why it's on this list is because this easily is one of the most accurate figures they've made for the classic Star Wars Scout Trooper. You see, in years prior, Scout Troopers used an incredibly outdated helmet mold which had an open visor from all the way back when Star Wars was first launching, which is why it's really nice to get a finally upgraded component which truly fits in alongside the rest of the dual molded Stormtroopers. And honestly, in my opinion, even exceeds the quality of the Stormtrooper helmet, which does look a little odd from some angles, but for the Scout Trooper helmet, this looks basically perfect for what you'd expect for the figure to have. The rest of the printing on the legs and torso is not too bad either. It has a lot of detail that some would argue is a little over detailed, but personally, I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out, and it's really nice that this actually came in a smaller set so people can actually have the chance to get multiple copies of it because it is a great figure to have. I do really hope that in the future they do a battle pack with these characters, because this is one of the best depictions of the Scout Trooper armor pieces that we've gotten for LEGO before, and that's really all I have to say about this figure. And with that, we can move on to number 7. And coming in at number 7, we have the Iron Man Mark I figure. Now, before we jump into things, I do want to note that I did not realize this until after recording, but this figure I actually did modify myself to have printing on the arm, stolen from the LEGO Movie 2 collectible minifig series Tin Man. The printing on the arm did not actually come with this figure, just something I do want to note, although I did feel like it was very appropriate to add on to this figure, which is why I put it on. But just want to let you know that the figure does not actually have arm printing. That's just something special you can use to upgrade it. That being said, the rest of the figure itself is really good. This is cast fully in the pearl silver or metallic silver color, which is a great coloration for a LEGO minifigure, and not one that they really typically did until very recently. The amount of detailing on the figure is truly stellar. I love the way the printing on the helmet comes together. The helmet itself is metallic silver, but there's another layer of the flat silver printing embroidered on the front of the helmet itself, which really does make the faceplate stand out from the rest of the helmet. The dirt and imperfections being colored in the dark tan color really do blend in well and make this figure feel very realistic, and all in all, it's just really fantastic to actually finally be able to get this particular figure as a LEGO figure itself, because this is not one that we figured we'd ever get, since it's from the original Iron Man 1 movie, and this was far before Marvel was doing the Infinity Saga line of sets, and we didn't know if LEGO would ever revisit older Marvel movies. Removing the jetpack piece, which originated with LEGO Star Wars but looks really good on this figure, you can actually see on the back of the figure you've got a Stark Industries printing as well as the portable arc reactor on the back there, which looks really great for the figure itself. And all in all, this is just one of the most detailed Iron Man minifigures depicting a classic outfit from one of his first appearances in the MCU. But with that, we can now move on to number 6. And coming in at number 6, we have an entry from the one and only Stranger Things LEGO set, although rumors say there will be more on the way. This is the Demogorgon, the iconic monster from Stranger Things, featuring a brand new mold for the headpiece there, covered in teeth, looking very realistic while still fitting the LEGO form. I also love the usage of the centaur legs on the character here, which looks really great for the figure itself. It does something a little bit different, which makes us feel just that much more special, giving the character digitigrade legs for a standard minifigure, and it also recolors the Wolverine claws in dark tan, which feels like it fits the figure quite well. What's even more special is that as we remove the headpiece there, you can see that they actually bother to print the head, featuring the petal-like mandibles closed up, which is also what the creature looked like in the show, which was not something they needed to do. They easily could have just included a plain head, but this way you can actually have the figure both ways, either having the teeth closed up or putting the headpiece back on to have the fully formed attack function of the actual character itself. All in all, this is a great use of one of the pieces introduced for the collectible minifigure series in the form of the digitigrade legs. I really do love the way it all comes together and really just feels like a great depiction of the character itself. And with that, we can move on to our number 5 pick on the list. And coming in at number 5, we have another entry from LEGO Ninjago, which really was killing it for Season 11. This is the Akita minifigure, featuring a brand new cape piece, a new dual molded head element, and all sorts of excellent printing scattered all throughout. So the story behind this figure is that she is a member of the Formling species, which is a species that can transform into different animals. You can see right here Akita can transform into a wolf, hence the wolf head sculpt on the top of the hairpiece there, which looks really great and actually lines up very well with the actual new wolf element they molded for Ninjago in one of these smaller sets. One of my favorite things about this figure is actually the cape, which is a brand new cut for the cape, which features some excellent detailed printing on the back, featuring the montrails colored in red for the tips of the cape. Really love the attention to detail there, and how well that all comes together as part of this entire minifigure as a whole. The torso design is also pretty good, featuring a nice emblem of the wolf face as well as some attractive white and red printing, and really the only misstep I think this figure makes is specifically with the leg printing. Printing the white on the red simply just did not work out too well. You can see that this print especially was one of the worst ones in terms of having the red really just seep into that white printing, and honestly I feel like LEGO can do better than that. So that is really my only major complaint about the figure, but everything else is really great. She features a dual-sided head with 2 different expressions that are very different, which is nice to get. And of course the hairpiece is one of the most special things about the figure, a very bushy-styled headpiece with a great dual-molded component of the wolf head on the top. But with that, we can now move on to our number 4 pick. And for number 4, we have a character from LEGO Hidden Side, which debuted in 2019. This is the possessed version of Captain Jonas, featuring 2 excellent and very useful new molds. The first one is one that can be used in a variety of different applications, and that's the Southwesterner hat, which is the one at the top there in Keat Orange or Flame Yellowish Orange. Really nice to get a very common hat molded for LEGO in this color. It's a very realistic looking hat as well, and really this could fit for basically any different sort of figure application. The much more fantastical new mold is this great octopus tentacle neck sculpt, which looks really great on the figure itself. Of course, this has somewhat limited applications, but I think it just looks really good as a piece to be included on the figure, and this is a piece that I really do wish was used more outside of just the Hidden Side theme. I can imagine this recolored in more solid colors for maybe even just members of, say, Davy Jones's crew for Pirates of the Caribbean, using it for more underwater sea creatures like Atlantis. You could recolor it in dark red and upgrade these squid pieces. There's just a lot of different applications for tentacles sprouting out of a minifigure's back in an octopus or squid-like fashion that I feel like they really could have used this mold even more. Of course, removing all of the excess pieces, the figure itself is fairly basic. It's just using a very simple print for the torso, which was created for this figure, but it is very simple. Some very subtle leg printing in the light, cool yellow as well. Really, the stars of the show for this figure are the 2 new molds, which look really great, and also getting the pirate sword recolored in the spring yellowish green. That being said, this figure is only number 4 on the list because the rest of the figure is fairly plain, and really the accessories make the figure. But with that, we can move on to the top 3 best non-collectible minifigs of 2019. And coming in at number 3, we have Apocalypseburg Batman. This is a minifigure that was debuted in the LEGO Movie 2 Apocalypseburg set, which looks absolutely fantastic and is one of the most unique minifigures of Batman that we've ever gotten. He uses a new dual molded component, which is really interesting, featuring a combination blend between the solid hard plastic as well as rubberized pieces, which actually are meant to represent LEGO tires grafted onto his armor, which is really interesting and not something we've ever seen from LEGO before. It also features a great bat emblem sort of mounted on the side of his chest there, somewhat off angle to represent the cobbled together appearance of this figure, but I really do like the way it looks. The silver shine alongside the red really makes it truly stand out, and that's not all, because this figure not only includes dual molded arms and legs for a standard retail figure, but also some excellently detailed printing on the side of the arm, which looks really good, some metal armor plating on one side as well as the other side for the upper elbow there, as well as the dual molded boots on the legs, just looking great in general. The figure also introduces a new fabric element in the form of the tattered cloak there, and that is something that is really useful for basically just any other figures. I actually decided to buy another copy of this figure to use the cloak for the Oni minifigures from Ninjago, so there's just a lot of really great stuff that can be done there. And of course, once you remove all of the excess armor pieces and belt elements, you can see the figure itself is not too bad either. Even with everything stripped away and removed, the figure is still one of the most detailed figures we've ever gotten from LEGO before, featuring again that excellent printing on the arms as well as the dual molding there. And with the armor removed, you can see all sorts of different detailing on the front of the torso as well, which is just a simple black shirt but with a lot of extra detailing added for the pauldrons. Overall, I'm just really happy with how this figure turned out, and I think it definitely deserved a very deluxe figure for his appearance in the movie, and all in all, this is one of the best, if not the best, Batman figure we've basically ever gotten. And then we can move on to number 2. And coming in at number 2, we have something that isn't really even officially a minifigure, because of course this is a big fig. Originating from the LEGO Overwatch line, this is Roadhog. And while I don't really know too much about the Overwatch game or lore, I just really love the look and feel of this character, featuring some of the most detailed molding and printing that we've basically ever seen from any LEGO figure whatsoever. You see, his arm on the side there is triple molded in yellow, black, and tan. I didn't even know LEGO had the technology to reliably triple mold a piece, and yet there it is. The sculpt itself is also triple molded for the body, featuring sand blue pants, a tan body, as well as black boots and a black piece of armor on the top of the figure there, and he even includes studs on the back to actually have a weapon attachment point, which is really great as well. He sports a brand new mold for his hooked weapon, as well as a brand new dual molded mask. The head is just plain underneath, but it really did not need to be anything other than plain. I'm very happy with how the figure looks in general, and all in all, this is probably the best big fig that LEGO has ever made in terms of the amount of detail on it. And what I really like about this figure is that it depicts a very interesting body shape and structure for a LEGO character that probably would have been impossible to pull off in standard minifigure form. The enlarged rotund belly is a really funny detail for the figure, featuring a tattoo stamped across the top with a hog and an engine and flames sticking out of the back, which is a really funny amount of detail. He also has a lot of small detail in the patches on the top of his vest there, as well as of course featuring some great printing and detail on the jeans as well. All in all, this is just an amazingly produced figure. It's so good it almost doesn't even feel like LEGO in some aspects, although this very clearly does still retain the LEGO DNA. All in all, just an excellently made figure that truly is one of the best Big Figs they've ever done. But with that, we can move into number 1, my favorite minifigure from 2019 that was not a collectible minifigure, and that is the Ice Emperor. When I first saw pictures of this figure, I was absolutely blown away by just how good the detailing was on the dual molding for the armor and helmet piece, featuring an excellent looking attractive transparent blue and white color scheme, which just is one of the most detailed elements LEGO has ever made for Ninjago, and one of the most technically impressive too. Just look at how well the very small bits of plastic for transparent blue stand out as side detailing for the circular parts of the armor and helmet there, as well as the ice slowly growing out of the armor piece. Just a great piece in general that I really wish was reused in different colors outside of just the Ice Emperor's theme. Of course, we did get this recolored in dark gunmetal gray as well as the dark red pieces, which also looks really great for the figures, but this I think personally was my favorite for the white and transparent blue. It just feels like a very icy color scheme. The rest of the figure is not bad either. Even with everything removed, you can see that this figure has an incredible amount of detail. If you look at the behind the scenes making of this figure and its designs, LEGO actually did a lot of research on traditional Japanese samurai designs to make this as authentic as possible, while adding a bit of an icy Ninjago twist to it, which is one thing I really do like about this figure. It definitely fits within the realm of fantasy, but is immediately recognizable as some sort of samurai or Japanese inspired warrior, which is really cool. And of course, there are some subtle character detailing, which, spoiler alert if you have not seen Season 11 of Ninjago, this is actually a corrupted version of one of the main ninjas, Zane. And that's something that actually a lot of people figured out just by looking at the figure itself, which is kind of a double-edged sword because people were immediately spoiled when they saw pictures. But again, the attention to detail was so good on this figure that if you zoom into the headpiece, you can actually see bits and pieces of Zane's eyebrows still mounted on this character, which was a dead giveaway for why this character was actually Zane, just corrupted and in disguise. I just really love the amount of detail that they managed to pack into this figure. The dual molded components are some of my favorite armor components that LEGO has pretty much ever done for any sort of figure whatsoever, and this is easily, in my opinion, the best figure of 2019. Alright, and with that, we have summed up my personal favorite, and in my opinion, the best minifigures from 2019 that did not appear in the collectible minifigure series. That is, the standard retail set minifigures. Again, this was just my opinion. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments below, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for next time when we'll be counting down the top 10 best collectible minifigs of 2019, and definitely stay tuned to Duckbricks for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon. Thanks, and bye-bye for now.